Good morning. Welcome to Just for Today. Um, our typically at 10 a.m., but on Sunday morning it's at 6 a.m. because I have to pretty quickly get ready to head out and do my thing as a minister. I am Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader at Columbia Center for Spiritual Living in Columbia, Maryland. Today is January 5th. And if you're new to Just for Today, for 2025, it's a time where I do an eclectic reading from some daily reader. And then, if other folks are joining me, there's some time to have brief discussion, to share thoughts about what the reading means to us, what brings up in us. And then we do a brief 5-minute meditation, and I close us out with an affirmative prayer, also known as a spiritual mind treatment. So this morning's reading comes from the Science of Mind magazine. And this is a 2022 edition, because wisdom is never outdated. And so the title of this particular reading is What's Mine to Do? And it begins with two quotes. The first one from Ralph Waldo Emerson from Self-Reliance. Nothing is at last sacred but the integrity of your own mind. And then the second quote comes from Ernest Holmes in the book Living the Science of Mind. We should unify with everything while at the same time keeping intact and whole that God-given something at the center of our being. And so here's the daily reading that Reverend Karen Wilson offered us. Years ago, a fad that swept through several spiritual communities. Members would receive a colored rubber band to wear on their wrist. The exercise was that once we became aware that we had uttered a complaint, we were to quickly snap the band on our wrists. The goal was to be complaint-free for 30 days. One slip up, and you would start again at day one. One minister told me it helped immensely, and they had given it up. They soon realized they would be forever short of that 30-day mark. Truthfully, I did no better. But the task, while somewhat old-school Christian in its approach, served a purpose. I became intimately aware of my thinking, which meant I could choose to think differently. Once I realized I was complaining, the next thing that popped into my mind was an admonishment. Slowly, I got bored with that response and instead snapped it out for a new thought, swapped it out for a new thought. My eyes are not awake yet. I have my apologies. Slowly, I got bored with that response and instead swapped it out for a new thought. If I was complaining, what could I do differently? Now, I was at a point of choice, a point of self-empowerment. And if I didn't have the gumption to take on that, or didn't have an answer, then all the complaining in the world would simply run through me like water. What came clear was the difference between what was mine to do and what wasn't. And here on purpose, we are here on purpose for a purpose. There's no need to waste time complaining. Our souls speak clearly when we choose to listen. And the affirmation that she offers us is, I live a complaint free life because I have the courage to do what is mine to do. What comes to me, the whole concept of complaining, I think language can be a barrier for us sometimes. And I think sometimes we forget that bringing up an issue isn't necessarily complaining. Bringing up a problem that can be resolved is part of what is mine to do. But if the receiver isn't ready to hear it, it can be experienced as complaining. And so I think it's important, at least for me, to first be clear what complaining actually is. And for me, it's that place of negativity where I'm just kind of wallowing in my dissatisfaction of something where the people I'm talking to have no power to change any part of it. I have no power to change any part of it. I'm standing in judgment of somebody or somebodies, and really even looking for a solution when I'm complaining. I'm just griping. And so, yeah, it's great to be at that point where we can go, no, I'm going to choose a different path. Even if the choice is just to stop. But knowing what is mine to do empowers me to make that choice. It informs me that, oh, this isn't even something it's not mine to do. I'm not in a place to affect any change in this, whatever this is. And so it helps me gain clarity about whether or not it's divine discontent that is nudging me to a solution or just complaining. I see we have one person on. Any thoughts that you would care to share in the chat? I know it's awfully early. Okay, so I'm not seeing any responses, and I do have a tight timeline this morning, so I think what I'm going to do is move on with our time of meditation. And typically, it's just a short 5-minute meditation, but the 365 that usually airs at this time is a bit longer. So we're going to split the difference at 7 minutes. How's that? So I invite you to take this idea of what is mine to do and the whole idea of taking action versus complaining and the clarity and how you get there. To take all of that into this time of meditation and contemplation. For those of you who are just now learning how to meditate, practicing meditation, I encourage you to just be in the stillness, to as much as you can. When thoughts come, just let them come. Let them come, let them go. It's kind of like that little marquee thing on the Goodyear blimp. If you just let it go by, the thoughts will go on by. It's not, you know, if you can just be with it, you can avoid any frustration. Just be in the process. There's there's nowhere to arrive to. There's no agenda. It's just a practice of being still. And so whatever thoughts come, they come. All right, here we go. Hmm. And so as I bring my awareness to this idea, this activity of prayer, of affirmative prayer, of spiritual mind treatment, of speaking the word of whatever name I call it. This activity of communicating, of setting consciousness in motion is mine to do continuously. It is mine to do to recognize that there is one power, one source, one substance that is everywhere present, one self existing cause. And by self existent, I am acknowledging that it was made out of nothing, that nothing made it. More accurately, nothing made it. It simply has always been in existence. It is the source and substance of creation, not the product of creation. And yet, in this physical realm, it becomes the product of creation as it creates out of itself into form, as it moves its ideas into expression from the formless to form. So all is forever existing within this one, and this one within every expression of it. No separation, no place to separate to in one. All life is life expressing, is this one power, this one presence, whether we call it the quantum field, whether we call it God, whether we call it Allah, the great mystery, Buddha. It is beyond a name. It is the nameless infinite possibility. It is the nameless everything. It is the nameless unformed no thing lying in repose as pure potential. It is every form that has ever been expressed. Present, past, future. Because there is no present, past, future in this one. All is happening in the eternal now. I am this in form. I am a divine, individualized, one of a kind, intentional, never to be repeated expression of this one infinite being. My consciousness expressing in the form of Rafe, never separate from it, and never separate from any other individualized expression of it. And so I recognize that what is true of me is true of all of creation. From the tiniest grain of sand to the most magnificent cosmos, to the mountains, to the wind, to the rain, to the snow, to the pencil I use, to the lead that's in it, all individualized expressions of this one power. So I just let that sink in for a moment. I just breathe that in. And I speak my word, my commitment to be that. That what is mine to do is to find the clarity within me, to recover that divine self that the human self often obscures. And so I speak my word, claiming and affirming an alignment, not an abandonment, but an alignment of my human self with my divine self, knowing that they are one and the same. They are two sides of the same coin. One being cause, the other being effect. I take full ownership of all of me. I take full ownership of the responsibility within me, the ability within me to respond from that divine self, in alignment with that divine self that is the self of eternity, that is creation itself, that is that unnameable, unlimitable self, that infinite possibility within me. I say yes to the clarity of what is mine to do. I speak a word of courage, the clarity, knowing that sometimes my human mind may find ways to resist, may find complaints to lodge. So I speak a word of awareness, a word of gentleness, a word of kindness. That in those moments that I simply breathe into my human experience and lovingly, gently guide my human self back to my divine self, gently realigning and choosing from the alignment, from the harmonious operation of one rather than the dis-ease of separation, to choose an alignment. I choose to embrace, stand on the agency within me. I choose to do what is mine to do and to release the results, to release the outcome. I am grateful for the activity of law, the activity of cause and effect that simply receives the impress, the idea, the belief back of the words, back of the expressed ideas, that which is resonant in the core of my being. And law responds, yes. Never filtering, never changing, simply reflects the exact image that is reflected into it, the perfect mirror of mind and form. And so I'm always being informed of what is operating in my subconscious and my conscious. And again, I embrace and I respond with what is mine to do, to live in the harmonious operation of one until I naturally live from it. I choose over and over again so knowing that the word spoken is the word fulfilled, I let go. I let go of any outcome. I let go of any need to control. I let go. And I trust. I live from faith, the faith in the unseen being brought into form. I let go of that process, knowing that it's already done, that I have planted the seed and everything necessary for the manifestation is in the seed. So I let law unfold it. I let law do what it's is to do. I let go. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amen. Amen. And so it is. Namaste, beloved.